Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Verison demo. We're going to give everybody just another minute to join, and then we'll get started. All right, we are going to go ahead and get started today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're excited to have you here. My name is Letty Barrett. I'm on the marketing team here at Verison. We're really appreciative of you guys taking your time this afternoon to join us for a product demo to talk about some use cases. So we are going to go ahead and get started, but really quickly, a couple housekeeping items. We will be recording this session, this webinar, and we'll send it out in the next 24 hours. So be on the lookout for that. You'll be able to share that with your teams, rewatch it, etc. And then we will also be leaving some time at the end to do some Q&A. But if you guys have questions along the way, please feel free to submit those in the chat. We are definitely going to leave about 5 to 10 minutes towards the end for that Q&A. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. So today we are going to do just a quick introduction about Verison. In just a second, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Aaron Meredith, and he is going to talk about a couple of incredible use cases that we have seen, just these awesome success stories. We are going to talk about some old and new approaches and how the Verison platform has been able to save many global organizations hundreds of millions of dollars related to their inventory and materials management. We're going to show you a quick demo, actually go into our platform, and then we're going to talk about the art of the possible and just this journey that we are wanting to take you on to really transform your materials management. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Aaron Meredith. He is an executive industry advisor here at Verison. He has significant experience across the supply chain, specifically in manufacturing, IT, engineering, etc. So I am going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right, thanks, Letty, and welcome everyone. Nice to be here with you today. As Letty mentioned, I'm an industry advisor with Verison. I've been with Verison a couple of months now, but I've been familiar with the company for a couple of years. I've got over 20 years of experience in industry, and some of those years, specifically working on the problems that we're going to be talking about today, in the maintenance realm. I've worked as a maintenance coordinator. I've managed plants, and I've worked on the business and innovation side. And most recently, I was working in a supply chain innovation center where we were looking for ways to, drive innovation in the space of supply chain where we have common problems across industry. And clearly one of those problems is in the areas of materials management, which we're going to talk about here today. So we can go ahead and get into that. And just to kind of kick off with a quote, and I know that everyone here has heard of AI and artificial intelligence, but just to kind of put a finer point on it. Gartner is saying that by the end of 2024, 75% of enterprises are going to operationalize AI. So it's going to move from people are experimenting with it, piloting it, trying it out, and we're quickly going to move into this is just the new way of doing things. And if you're not doing things leveraging AI, then you're probably not getting the full value out of what's available to you out there today. So just a little context there as we get into the day. So a little bit about Verison, what we do. So Verison, we're in the business of transforming materials management, and transformation is something that gets thrown around a lot with a lot of companies. I've worked in transformation in large enterprises, and true transformation is hard to come by. And it typically means that what we do after transformation looks very different than what we did before the transformation. So we're certainly in the business of transforming materials management, and we're doing it by leveraging AI, and it's purpose built. So we're looking for how can we take this great capability and now find ways to truly transform the way we manage materials. And why are we doing it? Well, there's a ton of waste in this space, and most of you, if not all of you on this call, are most likely intimately familiar with that waste. It's waste in inventory, it's waste in paying for off-contract pricing, it's waste in throwing away things that rotted on the shelf and went obsolete, all types of ways it manifests itself. And so our mission is to really help our customers dramatically optimize their inventory, eliminate all sorts of waste, and lastly, to actually do this while reducing risk. And that's a little bit different than the paradigms that I grew up with in my career, where if I'm going to reduce inventory, I'm actually going to increase risk. That's the trade-off. And, I think, well, we believe, and we're going to make it happen, technology changes that paradigm. You can actually eliminate waste, optimize inventory, and decrease risk at the same time. So that's what we're on a mission to do. So if we go to the next slide. So let me share before we get into a demo a bit later, some customer use cases. And these are just a sampling of 3 of our customers we have here at Verison, and the types of results that they have seen when going onto the platform that demonstrate the transformative nature of this approach to materials management. And these 3 companies, one's a leading consumer products company, we've got a leading energy company, and we've got a leading pulp and paper company. In all 3 cases, they carried approximately $500 million in MRO inventory, plus or minus, right? So several plants, dozens of plants, if not hundreds of plants in various geographic locations, people having data in various systems, with very siloed visibility to what's going on. And in all 3 cases, they had some common objectives. One is, we've got to eliminate the waste. We got to make sure we've got the right thing we need on the shelf when we need it, and not be wasteful and throwing things away or spending too much money. Let's optimize our inventory and right size it for the actual risk we've got. Uh-oh, we lost our slide. Let me see. Letty's probably coming back. I can keep talking to it though. So
Hey guys, so sorry about
there you
that.
are.
Yes, I'm back.
We had a Wi-Fi hiccup.
Yes, a little Wi-Fi hiccup. So I am going to start sharing my screen, and we will
Yeah, no problem.
keep moving.
I'll keep trucking like it never happened.
Okay, yeah, it's in the past.
Yeah. So I think we're on slide 7.
Perfect.
So it's about optimizing inventory, eliminating waste, and ultimately, how do we build, a more intelligent, connected supply chain? And in fact, maybe it's not a supply chain at all. How do we build more of a supply network? And we've all heard, especially over the past year, with all the ramifications of the pandemic, resilient supply chain, resilient supply networks, and what does that really mean, and how do we get there? So this is part of what we're marching to, is to say, instead of just saying, I've got a plant, I have assets in this plant, I've got my storeroom to protect against risk on those assets, and I've got suppliers to that storeroom. How can we now broaden that to say, I've really got a supply network with much more connected visibility that allows me to do several things. It allows me to optimize and right size my inventory, and it lowers risk because now I've got a lot of optionality that protects against the risk of my assets. So this is the journey that our customers are looking for. And in this case, these three companies we talked about, similar sizes of inventory, they saw dramatic results very quickly. So, within 90 days of, providing their data to the platform, all three of these companies identified approximately $20 million of inventory reduction opportunities that they wouldn't have identified otherwise. And you can ask them. And so that's a pretty big result, very dramatic. And furthermore, they all feel that the size of the prize is much bigger than that. With this new capability, they feel they should be able to shave at least 20% of their inventory over time by managing it smartly. So very dramatic results. And so how did they get these results so fast on our platform when they've got a lot of smart people working on this problem every day? And part of the problem is that a lot of us are stuck in the old paradigms, which says if we want to use technology to get dramatic results, we really need to work on our data. We've got to clean the data, because once we have clean data, we can use the systems we have and we can get results. But, I can say from having had accountability for these things in my career, clean data never made me a dime. Outcomes and results made me a dime, right? Or maybe the money, because we made good decisions based on the data that we had. And so these traditional approaches are about, let's really get this data in shape so we can now use our systems to create a lot of value. But these are typically very complex, expensive, long projects that require algorithms, maybe some consultants. It's a project that has a start and an end. And typically once it ends, it doesn't sustain and things kind of start going off the rails again. So it's not innovative at all. Um, and it's very wasteful, costs a lot of money, takes a lot of time. And I don't think you're going to see with a data cleanse project approach, you're not going to go find, we lost the slide again, but you're not going to go find $20 million of opportunity on a $500 inventory in 90 days with the traditional approaches. It just doesn't happen. So what's different about the approach that we're taking? The approach that Verison takes is that we want to take the data you have as it is, warts and all. You don't have to clean it first. Take the data you have and start delivering actionable insights immediately. So you can start capturing value immediately without having to do a data cleanse first. That's a big difference. That is not the way this has been done before. So if you want to think about what's different about what we do versus maybe what you're hearing other folks do, it's that data cleanse is not necessary to get value out of this. The data will catch up. As you interact with this platform, there's a self-cleaning nature to what's going on between you and interacting with the platform that's cleaning the data as you go. But you don't have to wait for the data to be cleaned to start getting the results. So that's the key difference between the traditional approaches, our approach, why we're able to get value so fast, and then to be able to sustain it indefinitely. So I'm going to leave it at that. I think Adam had put a comment earlier that you could start dropping questions into the chat in Zoom. And after Chip's demo and a few more words, we'll take some time to answer the questions you have. But for now, I'll turn it over to Chip.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Aaron. I appreciate the transition and working through some little Wi-Fi difficulties here. I know it's never easy working in the remote space like this. So I thank you for everyone's patience. But what I'm going to walk you guys through today is a little bit of the Verison platform and what we try to accomplish within the first 90 days of really engaging with us as an organization. And just to confirm, Aaron, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. That means everyone else probably can. So that's wonderful. So after the first 30 days of engaging with Verison, and what we do in that time frame is we try to ingest about 3 to 10 years of historical master data, along with purchase order history, goods movement, bill of materials details if you have them for MRO spare part data, anything we can really tangibly get our hands on to analyze your data and provide back recommendations based on elimination of potential wasted working capital. And so after the first 30 days, this is the screen you would see as you are returned to that point. So in this example, and this is all anonymized customer data, we have multiple SAP systems that we've connected with here. You'll see in this example, SAP EX1, SAP EX2, across multiple plants globally. So what you're seeing on the screen is verified opportunity and opportunity unverified. What does that mean? Well, let's actually drill down into an example to really show you how we get to these numbers. So in the Harar plant for this example, we provide back what are called inventory reduction cards. So what you're seeing on this specific screen is everything on the left is the details that we've taken in today about the state of affairs of this specific material. So we currently have 4 in safety stock, 4 quantity on hand, and an on-hand value of about $10,000. Everything to the right of that is Verison's recommendations plus the major reasoning behind that. So our recommendation is to lower the safety stock from 4 to 3. And the major reasons behind this, including the issues of this part, orders, lead times, any bill of materials details you might have, and anything else like criticality. Now, if we want to get a little bit more granular with this, we can actually drill into the material number and start looking at information like material attribution, your full purchase order and goods movement history, who your most frequent vendors are, all of the transactional data behind this specific material, and then also if any duplicates exist for this material as well, potentially. But so if we go back to our example here, if we agree with this reduction in safety stock from 4 to 3, we will realize a verified savings of $2,500. That's great. That means that we have now eliminated that wasted working capital from 4 to 3 of this specific material and can realize $2,500 in future savings. Now, similarly, and maybe just as important, we can disagree with these recommendations as well and provide back feedback or our own recommendation as to why. So if I'm the Harar plant manager, I may think, actually 4 is the best safety stock for this. And that's because there's a long lead time and we have natural language processing within the platform to pick up on any additional free text you enter in here as an additional data point that did not exist within an ERP system or an EAM or a master data management solution that we might be taking into the system. There's a lot of information that lives within the minds of those that are at the field level that does not exist as a data point within an ERP system, for example. So allowing this feedback loop actually makes our AI smarter and provides additional data points that did not exist previously for the company itself. Now, you may be wondering, right, there's, Chip, we frankly need really good data to be able to get to this point, right? We just don't have the clean data there. And that's where I would challenge you and say, no, frankly, we just need an ability to understand the data as it currently resides to be able to provide these recommendations. So in tandem, as we provide these recommendations to you, we are also harmonizing and deduplicating any material master data you also have. So on the back end here, you'll see we are conglomerating duplicate groups together in order to figure out if certain parts across different catalogs, across different source systems, across different plants may actually be the same. Again, a lot of plants call things different names. You have different suppliers calling different items, different potential names or descriptions. And this allows us to be able to flag and group together those parts that maybe have similar or same attribution, but in reality are the same parts. So in this example here, you're seeing a full duplicate group across multiple different descriptions across multiple different plants. So for example, the trusted record that we have provided back to you, which typically is a record that has a lot of information or resides in a lot of different plants, with other potential records that may fit into a grouping with this trusted record. So you'll see there's some minor description differences across these different parts that we have here, but are all fairly similar. And there might be similar manufacturing and part numbers as well as we continue to move through this example. But just like the recommendation cards we just looked at, it is just as simplistic to agree and disagree with these recommendations. So if I say, yes, I do agree, that's great. We now can group these two together. Or if no, we can separate this and actually consider this to be its own unique record unless there's a potential other duplicate that it might match to. We can even say that we're unsure, and we can have this presented to us later if the confidence level is still not yet met by the AI as it continues to learn on your data. But for the purpose of this example, let's just go ahead and say yes, that we agree that these are all very similar parts, if not the same part. If that's the case, we now have the insights from this platform to start picking up on what the unit prices are between each one of the plants where we're procuring these items. So for example, in Florence, we're procuring this item for about $6,800. At Kiev, we're purchasing this same item for $8,500. Now we can start to begin to do the analysis around who do we have, or who are we specifically buying these parts from, and why are the prices the way that we are? Can we begin to optimize our plant-to-plant transfers and start sending items from Florence to Kiev because the price is cheaper? If there are two suppliers, can we begin to leverage those relationships to say, hey, Kiev supplier, we're getting this same item from Florence for a much lower price? Why is that going on? What are the different relationships we can make? What can we do in order to have a better global purchasing strategy around MRO and spare parts between these specific plants? So again, we don't need perfect data or very clean data to get to this point, because the system itself is self-learning, self-cleansing, and self-harmonizing to get to a point of where your data can be valuable and functionable to you in a very short amount of time. One more thing I'll show you in the platform as well too is we actually have provided a Google-like search functionality for all of your parts. So I understand that there's a trouble in being able to just simply search for parts, whether you're just looking for a part or trying to create a part within even one single plant or multiple plants or across multiple companies where you don't have the data in correct places. So as we aggregate this data together, we now can start to actually do a Google-like search across attribution to see if we have parts in different plants or different catalogs. So if I want to type in something like a bearing, or we get a lot of different results here, or even something that's number coded like 107, we can start to code through things that are in descriptions and vendor part numbers, material IDs that may pull up the 107 that I'm searching for. So that if I'm trying to go in and actually create an item, this item may already exist in a different catalog or in a different plant. This example here at the top, we actually might find a duplicate of this part that's in a different catalog. Great example here. The 107 I just looked up, yes, it might exist in New York, but if I'm reviewing this data and trying to figure out if things are similar, or if I'm in a different plant trying to find a different part, I can see if a possible duplicate exists that I may need to review. And in this example, we have now found that there is a potential duplicate of this part at the Dubai plant in a completely different catalog. So now we're opening up insights as you continue to search for these specific parts, so that you are able to find parts that you need prior to creation or prior to a reorder point that you may not need if another plant has that same part too. One last thing I'll show before I hand it back off to Aaron is we provide simple dashboards and reporting for you to be able to understand the adoption of the platform and really the savings that you've been able to accrue over time. So I talked a little bit before about verified and unverified opportunity. Verified opportunity is everything that we have said, yes, we agree to this inventory reduction. We actually can provide back business value to reducing this inventory level at this time. This specific company, within their first 90 days, verified about $21 million worth of inventory reduction in working capital, which was about 9% of their total on-hand value, which is about the average of our customers today during this 90-day engagement. But they still have about $12 million of unverified opportunity. Unverified opportunity is all of the opportunity reduction that we have yet to actually review yet. So the last reduction card you saw, if I had hit agree, that would have been $2,500 that moves from unverified opportunity to verified opportunity. So we still have a potential of 5% of our total on-hand value that we are potentially able to reduce based on the recommendations that this platform is giving back to us. So again, just some simple insights for your management and for you to see as an overview perspective of how this is being adopted, not only from a full spend perspective, but also from an acceptance rate and even a plant performance perspective too, of understanding who is beginning to adopt this, where are we seeing the most return on value between each individual plant as well. So again, this is everything that we have been able to provide to our customers within a 90-day span. But as we continue on and continue to engage with you, and I'll turn it back over to Aaron for this, we are able to give you valuable insights into multiple areas of your supply chain as we continue to transform your idea of materials management. So Aaron, I'll turn it back over to you for that.
Perfect. Thanks, Chip. So yeah, let's see if we can bring up the next graphic here to talk a little bit about the journey. So to Chip's point, everything you saw there, all that access to data. So let's assume that you have 7 different ERPs or instances of data around your company. Within 90 days, actually within 30 days of providing the data, you're going to see that. You're going to see that information and you can start making decisions. And that's a very unique capability that comes at you really fast. And, you know, to Chip's point, that's what we're calling wave one, you know, delivering the trusted record of our product. And really this is where you know, our existing customers are already starting to see 10 to 20% inventory reduction opportunities very quickly just by having this initial capability. But that's really just the start of the journey that we're going on. So, you know, I alluded to this earlier, but if you really want to talk about a resilient supply network that lowers risk to your operations while delivering enormous savings, how do we get there? How do you get that extra 20, 25% on top of what you already did over time? And the journey that we're taking with our customers, and we're doing it quickly. This isn't going to be 5 years from now, 3 years from now. We're working to deliver these things over the next 12 months, 6 to 12 months. One is, how do you really build out the network view within your company? So virtual network optimization. I've got 100 plants. I've got 12 plants. I've got 200. How do I optimize my inventory across all those facilities? How do I think about, you know, I don't need to carry the same plant and same part in 10 different plants. Maybe I can carry it regionally in a couple of plants because I've got this visibility and capability to do that. So how do we enable that kind of virtual capabilities, network capabilities across your organization? Furthermore, maybe your company is part of a parent company with other sister companies, or maybe you want to like network with other companies out there over time. How do you get a more enterprise view to other people that might be carrying the same stuff you are? And even amplify the results you can get in that network. And then the other piece, and these, we laid them out kind of wave 1, 2, 3, 4, but you know, wave 4 might come earlier than wave 3 for you, for example. But imagine a world where your supplier is such a great partner to you that they've always got what you need when you need it, because they've got these real-time demand signals from you, and they're able to make sure they've got the right part at the right time for you, so you don't have to worry about it. And getting your suppliers into this network, now you're really starting to create a lot of mutual value up and down the supply chain. So that's the journey. And I think, was that the last slide there? Nope. Last one is, how do you get started on the journey? So you've heard Chip and I both mention a few times 30 days, 90 days. So what is this all about? Well, we try to make it as easy as possible for customers to get onto the platform, to understand, experiment with it, cheap, quick, low effort experimentation to understand what this platform can do to you. And so that's what our proof of concept is. And we framed it in 90 days to say, in the first 30 days, let's get your data into the platform. Let's get it back to you in the second 30 days so you can start to consider the recommendations that it's making to you and decide, you know, are these valid recommendations? Are they not valid? But what's the value that it's given to me here? And in those final 30 to 45 days, really build up your business case and say, as you know, all of our customers have done so far, wow, this is really valuable. This does things that I didn't know we could do. And this is going to become our new way of doing things, and build that business case, and we can help build that business case with you. So 90-day proof of concept. This is a no cost offering from Verison to get you on the platform quickly, let you experiment quickly, and decide if you want to go on this transformation journey with us. So that's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you, Chip and Aaron. Really appreciate it. That wraps up our presentation for today. Thank you guys for being patient with all the technical difficulties. We are going to go ahead and open it for some Q&A if you want to stick around and ask a couple questions. And while we're waiting for Q&A in the chat, I wanted to mention, if you guys are interested in learning more and curious about how you can kind of start your materials management journey, feel free to just simply select the raise your hand at the bottom of your screen in the Zoom chat. This will allow us to be notified that you are interested in learning more, and we would love to contact you after this webinar today. So again, if you're interested in kind of having a customized demo for you where we can get one-on-one on a call with you, we're more than happy to do that. And you can just simply press the raise your hand button at the bottom. So to kind of get us kicked off for the Q&A portion, we've got one question. It's a great one. And it is a question for Aaron or Chip, either of you who want to help answer this. But the question is, how good does my data need to be in order to get on the platform?
That's a good question. And it's one that, you know, we've heard a lot. And it's really rooted in our existing way of thinking about this, right? That if we want to get value out of a technology, we've got to clean up the data first. And the answer is, give us what you got, how you've got it, and let's see. That's why we do a proof of concept. And you might be surprised, you probably will be surprised that we don't have to go clean your data first to get actionable insights that you can start getting value from immediately. So that is really a big difference between what we do and maybe what other folks that might want to help you out offer is actionable insights immediately. The data will catch up.
Yeah, to piggyback on that too, Aaron, I've always said kind of in my career that having clean data holds no value to an organization. It's what you do with that data. And the great thing about this platform is it couples the idea of being able to create clean data and harmonize data while also being able to take the data in its state today and provide business value. And that's a problem that a lot of organizations have gone through in the past, is these 8 to 12 to 24-month data cleanses. And once you're done, it's like painting the Golden Gate Bridge, right? You got to start all over again. Once you get to that point, there's no business value at the end of the tunnel, right? The problem you were trying to solve 8, 12, 24 months ago is no longer the top priority in the company. So it feels almost like wasted resources or a restart on a project every time you try to get through it, rather than finding business value at the same time that you're going through a data harmonization project, which really is the true power of a platform like this.
That's great. Thank you both. So we've got one more question in here. Actually, two more questions. So the next one is, does the platform actually make changes in the ERP, and how are we actually realizing savings?
So I can speak to, I'm not the technical guy on the team, so I can speak to realizing savings, right? Because having worked in industry, identifying it one thing, getting it is another. And but you have to know what you're shooting for, and that's the immediate value we can bring is, here's your opportunity, here are the things that you need to go work on. And by providing visibility across facilities and across enterprises, you can start to see ways to take actions on that data. Either you don't replenish it, or maybe you want to move it to another plant. And if you look at our journey and when we start getting into virtual networking, part of what we want to do is help you make those decisions and say, it's kind of like balancing your 401k or something like that. It's like you're heavy in stocks and light on bonds, you need to rebalance here. And how do we help you make those decisions so that you can actually make sure you've got the right things in the right places at the right time, and start to realize that value. So, but the first step to realizing the value is knowing what the opportunity is that you need to go work on.
I'll say high level to connecting with ERPs too, is that we are agnostic to which type of ERP that we connect with. And we can, take your data based on the security protocols that you have in place today. So if you're okay with direct connection with your ERP, we can host that. If we need to go through a different method, like taking your data through an Amazon S4 bucket up in the cloud, or an S3 bucket up in the cloud, and ETL from there, and make that a near real-time process, we can also have that happen as well. But again, to Aaron's point, I'm also not a technical guy on this line, but happy to at least provide some high level.
Awesome. And if anybody has any more technical questions, we can definitely connect you with our team to help answer those after this as well. So we've got one more question that I'd love to cover, and we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but the question, it's kind of a two-part question. Can you guys talk a little bit more about the difference between identified versus verified? And also, how often is the Verison platform actually making recommendations of the identified data, or is it a single phase of the project?
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit to that. So I think they mean the unverified versus verified, or identified as unverified is the similar word. But basically the unverified or identified opportunity is the recommendations that the AI has provided back to the organization or the company once you get into the platform. The verified side of the data or the recommendations is, again, when we agree to an inventory reduction level within the platform that provides back some sort of working capital savings. So again, as the example that I showed earlier in the demo was changing the safety stock from 4 to 3. If we agree with that recommendation card, that dollar amount goes back into the verified data or the verified savings. Now, how often do we bring back the unverified data and begin to provide more recommendations? Well, that depends on how quickly you want the platform to work. If we're directly integrated with a platform, it can be near real time, depending on when the AI sees a potential recommendation as we continue to get smarter and add more data into the platform. And if we're just going near real time, it can be as quickly as you are entering data into the system, whether that be hourly, daily, weekly, again, at the data patterns that we currently see today. But no, this is not a single phase of the project. This is something that's ongoing, self-learning, self-harmonizing, as soon as we get our hands on your data within the first 30 days and beyond.
Awesome. Thank you both. Really appreciate it. We'll do one more call for questions if anybody is interested. We also have up here on the screen Chip's email. So if you think of any questions after we close our session today, feel free to email chip@verison.com, and he would be happy to answer any additional questions. Also talk all things customized demo, etc. So anyway, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Once again, we will be sending out the recording of this webinar with the slides in the next 24 hours, so be on the lookout for that. We're very thankful for you spending your time today, and we hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday and have a great rest of your week. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.